Hello, and thank you for being here. Today, I want to talk about why learning English feels so tiring and what can make it feel lighter. For many people, learning English is not difficult, but tiring. It comes with pressure, expectations, and the constant feeling of not being good enough. The longer people study, the more tired they become. Some learn for years and still hesitate to speak a simple sentence. Others feel stressed the moment they hear English, even before they try to understand it. This rarely happens because people are lazy or incapable. It happens because English is often learned under pressure. Exams, certificates, jobs, and comparison slowly turn a useful skill into a source of stress. When learning feels forced, motivation fades. Another problem is expectation. Many learners expect fast results and perfect outcomes. They want to speak fluently in a short time, understand everything, and sound natural. When that doesn't happen, confidence drops, and learning becomes exhausting. But the real issue is not effort or ability. It is mindset. The way you think about English shapes how you experience it. In this article, we will explore 6 mindset shifts that can make learning feel lighter, more natural, and more sustainable. These shifts won't tell you what to memorize. They will change how you approach English, so that motivation no longer comes from pressure, but from clarity and purpose. 1. English is not a subject. This is the first mindset you need to change. English is not a school subject. It is a life tool. No one truly learns English just to know English. People learn it because they want to do something with it. We learn English to watch movies without subtitles and finally understand the jokes without reading ahead. We learn it to read books that have never been translated, to listen to interviews, podcasts, or speeches straight from the source. We learn it to work with people from other countries, to travel with confidence, and to see a bigger world beyond our small circle. But somewhere along the way, English stopped being a tool and started becoming a test. It became something you are graded on, something you are ranked by, something that tells you whether you are smart enough or good enough. And when that happens, learning stops being natural. It becomes stressful, heavy, draining. Think about how you learned your first language. No one tested you. No one corrected every sentence. You learned because you needed the language to live, to express yourself, to connect with others. English works the same way. The brain does not learn languages best through pressure. It learns them through use. This is why many people who were bad at English in school suddenly improve when they move abroad or start a job that requires English. Not because they became smarter, but because English finally had a purpose. It became useful, not theoretical. So instead of asking, "How good is my English?" try asking different questions. Can I understand enough to enjoy this video? Can I express my idea, even if it sounds simple? Can I get my message across? These questions are far more important than perfect grammar or advanced vocabulary. If you want English to feel lighter, stop treating it like a subject you must master. Treat it like a tool you slowly learn to use. You don't need to use every tool perfectly on the first day. You learn by picking it up, using it badly at first, and getting better over time. Ask yourself honestly, are you learning English for your life, or are you learning it because you are afraid of falling behind others? When your answer shifts toward life, motivation changes. It becomes quieter, steadier, and more sustainable. You stop chasing results, and you start building a relationship with the language. And that is when English stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like a door. 2. No one is good at English. This may sound strange, but it's true. There is no one who knows all the words, never makes mistakes, or understands everything perfectly, not even native speakers. Language is not a fixed system that you can finish learning. It is alive, constantly changing, and impossible to fully master. Even native speakers forget words, misunderstand accents, and struggle to explain their thoughts clearly. They pause, rephrase, and correct themselves all the time. Yet they are still considered good at English. Why? Because they keep using the language without being paralyzed by mistakes. The real difference is not talent or intelligence. It is courage. Native speakers and confident learners are not afraid to use English before they feel ready. They speak even when their sentences sound simple. They listen even when they only understand part of the message. They accept imperfection as a normal part of communication. Many learners do the opposite. They wait for more vocabulary, better grammar, and more confidence. They tell themselves, "I will speak when I'm ready." But that moment never comes because confidence does not appear first. Confidence is built after using the language, not before. Think about any skill you have today. You were not confident at the beginning. You became confident because you practiced while feeling unsure. English works the same way. Every time you speak or listen, even imperfectly, your brain learns what works and what doesn't. You don't need advanced words to communicate. You need clarity. You don't need perfect grammar. You need courage. Fluency is not the absence of mistakes. It is the ability to continue despite them. So stop asking whether your English is good enough. Ask instead, can I use what I know today? Can I express one idea even in simple words? If the answer is yes, then you are already doing the most important thing. You don't need to be good to start. You need to start to become better. 3. Making mistakes is not failure. Here is something interesting. Children learn languages by making thousands of mistakes. They speak freely, adults correct them, and then they speak again, without shame, without fear, and without thinking about whether they sound right. For children, mistakes are not a problem. They are simply part of learning. Adults, however, approach language very differently. We want to be correct from the beginning. We want our sentences to sound complete, our grammar to be clean, and our pronunciation to be acceptable. Because of that, many adults make one mistake, feel embarrassed, and stop speaking. But here is the truth. Mistakes are not failure. Mistakes are information. Every time you make a mistake, your brain receives feedback. It notices the gap between what you wanted to say and what actually came out. Over time, your brain adjusts automatically. This is how learning really happens, not through avoiding mistakes, but through experiencing them. Think about it this way. If you only speak when you are sure everything is correct, you are using English very little. And when you use English very little, your brain has very little to learn from. Silence may feel safe, but it slows progress. Making mistakes, on the other hand, means you are actively using the language. It means you are testing your knowledge, pushing your limits, and giving your brain real data to work with. In that sense, mistakes are not a sign of weakness. They are a sign that learning is happening. A helpful shift is to stop asking, "Was that sentence correct?" and start asking, "Was my message understood?" Communication comes first. Accuracy improves later. If you never make mistakes, you are not protecting your English. you are avoiding it. And avoidance is the real enemy of progress. 4. Motivation does not come from force. Many people ask, how can I stay motivated to learn English? They look for motivation in videos, quotes, or big goals. But those things rarely last. Motivation that comes from pressure or excitement fades quickly. The real answer is simpler and more practical. Connect English to something you already enjoy. If English feels like an extra task added to your day, your brain will resist it. But if English becomes part of something you already like, it stops feeling like work. You don't need to create new motivation. You borrow it from your existing interests. If you like movies, watch them in English, not to understand every word, but to enjoy the story. If you like games, play games or watch game content in English and focus on the action, not the grammar. If you enjoy technology, business, travel, or cooking, the English world has unlimited videos, articles, and podcasts waiting for you. This shift is important. You are no longer sitting down to study English. You are using English as a bridge to something meaningful. Learning becomes a side effect, not the main goal. A useful rule is this: don't ask, what should I study today? Ask, what do I want to watch, read, or listen to today? Then simply choose an English version of it. Even if you understand only part of it, your brain is still learning. Over time, English stops feeling like something you must push yourself to do. It becomes something you naturally return to, and that is when motivation becomes quiet, steady, and sustainable. At that point, you are not studying English anymore. You are living with it. 5. Motivation disappears, habits stay. Here is another truth. No one feels motivated every day. Even the most disciplined people have tired days, busy schedules, and moments when they simply don't feel like doing anything. Motivation is emotional, and emotions change. That is why motivation alone is never a reliable foundation for learning. If you only study English when you feel inspired, progress will be inconsistent. Some days you will do a lot. Other days you will do nothing. Over time, this creates frustration and guilt, which makes learning even harder. That is why it is better to build your English learning on habits, not feelings. Habits work because they require less decision-making. You don't wake up and ask yourself, do I feel motivated today? You simply do a small, familiar action. The brain prefers routine, especially when the action is easy and predictable. This is why big plans often fail. 2 hours a day sounds impressive, but it is hard to maintain. 50 new words a day looks productive, but it quickly becomes exhausting. When a task feels heavy, the brain finds reasons to avoid it. Small habits work in the opposite way. 5 minutes of listening, 1 short video, 1 simple sentence. Something so small that your brain does not resist. You tell yourself, I can stop after this. And most days, that feels manageable. 5 minutes today, 5 minutes tomorrow. At first, it feels insignificant. But learning does not happen in one day. It happens quietly, through repetition. Over time, those small moments add up. One day, you suddenly notice that you understand more, react faster, and feel less tired when hearing English. The goal is not to do more. The goal is to do it again tomorrow. When English becomes part of your daily routine, it no longer depends on motivation. It becomes automatic. And habits, unlike motivation, stay. 6. Learning English is about identity, not ability. Many people believe they fail at English because they are not good at languages. But language learning is rarely about ability. It is about identity. When you speak English, even a little, you are stepping into a different version of yourself, a version that sounds unfamiliar, feels slower, less confident, and sometimes awkward. That discomfort makes many people stop. They don't stop because English is hard. They stop because they don't like how they feel when they use it. But growth always feels uncomfortable at first. Every new skill creates a temporary version of you that feels weaker than your usual self, and that is okay. Learning English means allowing yourself to be a beginner again, to sound simple, to speak slowly, and to not have perfect words. It means accepting that confidence comes after action, not before it. If you wait to feel confident, you may never start. But if you start while feeling uncomfortable, confidence will quietly grow. One day, you will notice something small. You hesitate less, understand more without translating, and feel less afraid of English. Not because you suddenly became talented, but because English slowly became part of who you are. A small story. Let me share a small story with you. I once knew someone who started learning English after turning 30. There was no strong foundation, no confidence, and a lot of hesitation. Speaking felt uncomfortable, and listening felt exhausting. So instead of setting big goals, this person started with something very small. 5 minutes of listening every night. There was no pressure to understand everything. Some days, most of the words were unclear. Some days, it felt pointless. But the rule was simple. Don't quit. Even on tired days, the 5 minutes still happened. Not perfectly, just consistently. At first, nothing seemed to change. English still sounded fast, and speaking still felt scary. But slowly, something different happened. The fear became quieter. The sound of English felt less heavy. The habit itself became normal. 1 year later, that person still spoke slowly and made mistakes. But English was no longer something to avoid. It had become part of daily life. Something familiar rather than frightening. Conversations no longer caused panic. Listening no longer felt like a battle. There was no sudden breakthrough, no dramatic moment, just small steps repeated over time. And that was enough. Final thoughts. If you feel tired, bored, or ready to quit, remember this. You are not failing. Nothing is wrong with you. Learning English is hard when it comes with pressure and self-doubt, and feeling tired often means you have been trying for a long time. English is not a race. There is no deadline and no perfect version you must become. You are allowed to go slowly, to sound simple, and to make mistakes along the way. Progress does not always feel exciting. Most of the time, it feels quiet. Today, you don't need to do much. One small step is enough, one short listen, one paragraph, one sentence. Then stop. Come back tomorrow and do it again. Start again. Gently. Thank you for watching.